This is Matt Mills, and this is the Seeds of Change. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your support. I want to acknowledge all of those who are mothers, play a mother role, a mentoring role. In some way, shape, or form, you influence and affect people. I want to thank you. I want to acknowledge my mother and appreciate her, and that we were able to have a good time this weekend, just enjoying each other's company and fellowship. In honor of that and in thought of that, I do want to share a brief scripture that can be found in 2 Timothy 1. And verse 5 says, I am reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you. For this reason, I remind you to fan into the flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For the Spirit God gives us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. And I'll leave it there because the important part I think about is sincere faith, which started with the grandmother, lived in the mother, and now lives in him. And for me, anybody that knows me, my family and my grandparents were all preachers and heavily involved in church and very invested in their spiritual walk. And I will say that before I was given anything else, I was given Jesus. Whether it was my mom playing gospel music or singing, or my grandmom reading her Bible to me or singing some of the songs she used to sing, that was what I was aware of. That is what I was given, and that is what I learned. So I first would say, any faith that I currently possess, yes, I built on it in my own relationship, but it started because they gave it to me, because they presented it to me, because my mom made it a thing to make sure I was in church. They made it a thing to make sure I had my own Bible at the age that I was, to make sure that I was reading and learning as much as I could so that it could be real for me. And to also think about, now that I'm older, her life exuded her faith. The things that she decided to do as a parent, the opportunities she decided to create, the educational moments she decided to provide was all done in faith because she believed in the assignment that was given to her. My grandmom believed in the assignment that she had when she saw me. She poured in as much as she could to get me to where I needed to be. And I think when we think about these scriptures, and if you keep reading, he was in his own turmoil. He was in his own season of ministry where he was going to deal with some adversity, where he was going to deal with some people who might not have been in support of what he had to say. They're if you read in, I believe, 1 Timothy, they discuss the issues of false teachings. These are things that he was going to have to deal with or address in his ministry. And he wanted to remind him of the power that he possesses. And that's why I wanted to read the second part, that the Spirit God gave him didn't make him timid, but gave him power. And this same Spirit, this same power that make it personal that I find within myself started with the sincere faith that before I experienced life was built off of my grandma and my mother. That they made a priority that I was aware of and that was instilled in me, that I could build my own journey, my own faith, my own spirituality on top of this foundation. So I understand that life has its own issues and has its own requirements and its own responsibilities where you might be. But sometimes it's nice to just step back and remember where it all came from. It's nice to step back and reflect, and it shouldn't take Mother's Day to do it, but sometimes not to get so busy and really take time to appreciate those that poured into you. Because they were given an assignment to pour into you by God, and they were obedient to their assignments. Being a mother isn't just something of happenstance. It's an assignment. It's not something you can take lightly because it's something that you could abandon. But the truth is it's not short-term job. Being a mother is an assignment that lasts a long time. And I'm appreciative that my mother had the faith to accept her assignment. And then show me what that faith could do. She instilled it in me that I could see through her life what it could be. So I understand that we always are looking forward. We're always trying to figure out what's next. We're always trying to combat and manage the tasks that are in front of us. But I challenge you, much like they did in this scripture, to think about where your strength started and where it's grown. Because I think it'll help put things in perspective for you of how blessed you really are. Because I had to take time and realize how much I've grown. And all that growth came from God, but it was through my mom. And I know many of us have a story of a mother or a loved one or someone that poured into you in such a way. So I hope that you are able to take the time to reflect on the sacrifice and the obedience and the assignment that they were given and how they addressed it. Because we all have that person that, even if it was for a season or a long time, their faith caused them to pour something into you that'll be a catalyst or catapult you into what you're meant to do. So for me, I chose to reflect back on my mother and grandmom, who both displayed enormous faith in their lives and made it a priority to share that faith with me. Because if it wasn't for God using them and them being obedient, I would not have been or will be the person I'm meant to become. So once again, I want to acknowledge all the mothers, and I hope that you were able to enjoy your weekend. I hope that you were able to find peace and fellowship in the midst of it. I pray that you will continue to have a good week. And I thank you for your support once again, and I appreciate the fact that you share your time with me to listen. And I will be hopefully recording soon. So until next time, I hope you're blessed.